Creator knows everything about us, but this seems silly to me. So why did I just burn in hell for no reason?
No. What are your beliefs?
I'm a deist. I don't believe in religions, but I do believe in a creator. The thing that confuses me the most is the topic of fate. Everything about us is known by Allah, when we are born or even before we are born, correct? Like, the creator knows everything about us. Every choice I'll make even before I'm born. Will I be a good person or a bad person? Like, we have free will, but he knows what we'll choose according to our will. I'll live out my life, and as a result, I'll either be rewarded or punished. I'll be born for no reason. He will have known every one of my actions beforehand, and then I'll be judged accordingly and sent either to heaven or hell. It seems silly to me.
Okay, bro. This is a really popular topic and it's also a confusing one for many people. But this confusion stems from a lack of information. Why? Because, bro, knowledge is subject to what is known. So what does that mean? Knowing something is dependent on the thing that is known. Let me explain this with an example. Let's say we're atop a mountain and there are railroad tracks below. On those tracks, there are two trains heading towards each other. We see them from above and do a calculation, like distance equals velocity times time. We do the math and say they're heading towards each other and they're going to collide in approximately 8 seconds. And you write this down on a piece of paper, okay? And you say they're really going to collide. And after 8 seconds, the collision actually happens. If people saw this piece of paper, would it be logical if they said this? You had written this down? We have collided because you knew and wrote about it? That's why you're guilty? We're going to take you to court?
No, actually, it still doesn't make sense. Everything I will do now is already known.
I'm coming to that. I'm still at the example part.
Yes, for this example, it wouldn't be logical.
Why, bro? Because all you did there was knowing what would happen, right? You made a scientific calculation, and even though you had a limited degree of knowledge, you only knew what was going to happen, but you didn't intervene. So this means that the trains didn't collide because you knew about it. They were going to collide anyway, and you just figured it out with math. Just like this example, it is not a crime for Allah to know what we will do, our life events, or whether we will go to heaven or hell. Just because He knows doesn't mean that Allah intervenes. Why? Like we said before, the trains didn't collide because you knew they would. You knew they would collide because you did the math. So it's the same thing. We don't do things because Allah knows about them. Allah knows the things we'll do beforehand and He writes them in our fate. Just because He writes fate doesn't mean He forces us to do anything. Like calendars, for example. They tell us when the sun will rise. It says that sunrise is at 6:10. We erase it and write 7:20 instead. Is the sun now going to rise at 7:20?
No.
No, right? The sun is going to rise at 6:10, and that's why we've written that down. It's not going to rise at that time because we wrote it that way. Just like this, the fact that He writes something in our destiny doesn't mean that He intervenes or forces us to do them. Since Allah has eternal knowledge, it's normal that He would know everything.
Okay, then, I'll ask you something. Let's say I went to heaven or hell. In fact, let's say I went to hell. I was created. It was already known that I would be a bad person. So why did I just burn in hell for no reason?
We can illustrate it like this, bro. We have an elevator, right? We don't know the details of its setup or pulley system, etc., and we don't determine them either. But when we are on the elevator, we determine if we will get to floor +7 or -7. It's up to us to get to +7 or -7, but the technicalities of the elevator system are not up to us. Just like this, we don't intervene in the creation of us. Are we going to be male or female? And other details, Allah determines these.
But you said we have freedom of choice. Does He not know what we'll do with our free will?
He does, but remember what we said in the beginning. Knowledge is subject to what is known. Just because He knows everything doesn't mean He'll intervene. We confuse knowledge with power. That's why it becomes complicated. Think about it like this. The sun has different colors. Sometimes it's yellow and sometimes it's red. These colors have different features. Just like in this example, Allah has different names. For example, Al-Alim. It means He's all-knowing, right? Al-Alim is one quality, like the color yellow. His knowledge of things that have yet come to pass is called Al-Alim. But His power to intervene is related to His name Al-Qadir. It's a different quality, like the different colors of the sun. You might think if He knows, why does He intervene? But no, this one is Al-Alim. This one is Al-Qadir. Just because Allah knows something doesn't mean He intervenes.
You probably get questions about angels, too. Isn't Allah powerful enough? Why does He need helpers?
Allah didn't create the angels because He needs them. Allah chose to create the angels because of His excellence and His magnificence. For example, take a king. The king doesn't go to the corner store himself, does he?
He doesn't.
He wouldn't, right? He'd send someone. Does the king clean the toilets, or does he send someone to do it?
He sends someone else.
He sends someone else, not because he needs to. That position demands excellence and magnificence. By creating the angels, Allah chose to use them in this type of work. So it's not because He needed them.
I understand. It's logical, but in this day and age, I don't think I can practice Islam.
Why not, bro? I'm a Muslim right now, alhamdulillah, and so are you.
Alhamdulillah.
It can be practiced. There's no such thing as can't.
Of course, all subjects can make mistakes. Even the smallest things are sinful. I can't feel like I belong there.
Sins are different from mistakes. People will make mistakes, no doubt about it.
I can't be flawless. I don't think I can do it.
Bro, this is like the devil's whispers. Like, it's too hard, it's too hard. Let's say 3 of us are sitting at home, and we're living at the time of Mehmed the Conqueror. Suddenly, a regulation is announced, and Mehmed the Conqueror says, no one is allowed to leave their homes for 5 years. We wouldn't like this, would we? Would it be logical if I said this? Gentlemen, this is the most ridiculous decision, apparently. I don't know the reason. Maybe there is wisdom behind this. Like, maybe there's a war, but it sounds illogical to me, so I say, gentlemen, this doesn't make any sense. So this means Mehmed the Conqueror does not exist. Would this be logical?
No.
No. How about this? The Ottoman Empire, the realm where Mehmed the Conqueror rules, doesn't exist. There's no such thing as the Ottomans.
No.
No. Why? The fact that something is logical or illogical, or if it's liked or not liked, doesn't prove that the system is flawed. What it proves is that we didn't understand it at that moment. It seemed illogical to us then, but our rationale also constantly develops. And we might not be aware of what was going on behind the scenes, but if there were Ottoman signatures everywhere, to see even one Ottoman signature would be enough for me to know that this place is the Ottoman Empire. When we look at this example, when we look at the Quran, and when we look at Islam, just because I don't like one rule, or just because I can't make sense of it, doesn't mean that. Can you draw that conclusion from this?
Not from this example, but maybe my rationale is not good enough now. Like you said, maybe in the future, I'll come back to it. And I thank you for your answers. It was great chatting with you.
Then see you again later. Take care. Thank you.